Hello and welcome to Chatting with Chaz. I am so glad you're here today. Let me introduce myself to you for those of you that might be joining us for the first time. My name is Chaz and I am the creative director and founder of Linen and Flax Co., a lifestyle brand based here in Roswell, Georgia. If you haven't visited our website, I welcome you to www.linenandflax.com. Also check us out on our Instagram page, Linen and Flax Co., and Chatting with Chaz. We launched this podcast to inspire you. We're going to hit all the topics you've asked for: marriage, divorce, dating, running a business, entrepreneur, my past, your stories. We're going to talk about everything. And today is no exception. We're going there. I've invited a very special guest today. One of my favorite people, in fact, my favorite girlfriend ever, my best friend, my daughter, Jaclyn.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome, Jaclyn, to Chatting with Chaz. It's going to be Chatting with Mom today.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. What are we going to talk about today?
We're going to get into it. We're going to answer all the questions that you guys had. We're going to talk about boyfriends, dating in college, mom dating, going through divorce.
Mom dating.
We're talking about it all. We're
going to talk about it all. We're going to get juicy.
Juicy.
We had lots of questions. I reached out to you on Instagram at Linen and Flax Co. and I said, hey, what do you want to hear? Because a lot of you watched Jaclyn grow up. We met in 2015. Jaclyn was 12 years old. So you watched her as a 12-year-old, as a 13-year-old, as a 15-year-old, as coming into age. You watched me drop her off at college. You watched me decorate her dorm. You watched us go through a very difficult divorce. You've watched us. You've watched her grow up and mature. You've watched her change and evolve into this beautiful young woman, smart and independent. And I'm so glad to have you. And we have so many questions. When I asked you, I couldn't believe the amount of questions that came in. I mean, it was pages and pages of questions. I shared them with Jaclyn and I said, hey, what do you want to answer? This is you. This is your story. I shared my story a couple weeks ago and I said, this is your story. How do you want to share it? You do not have to talk about divorce. You don't have to talk about anything that is difficult. We can just talk about style. We can talk about makeup. We can talk about college. And she says, you know, I kind of do want to talk about it. So here we have my daughter, my best friend, and in her own words, we're going to start with this. A big question was how a lot of our viewers watched me share my story on episode 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the people were asking, how did my story impact you as a young girl? Let's start there.
So your story is crazy. I always knew there was a little story about why you were so protective. I was really annoyed when I was just trying to go to the movies and she showed up in the back row and I was like, are you kidding me? And then it was just a whole thing, but I always knew there was something.
Was that in high school? Was that in middle school?
That was in middle school.
Okay.
If that was in high school, anyway. Yeah, so I always knew there was something and I was just waiting. And then when I turned 13, she told me kind of her whole story. If you don't know what story we're talking about, it's from episode 1 and 2. And it just made me realize why you're so protective and why you were always lurking a little bit and looking at where I was. But I also just thought you were so cool because I'm like, you lived 5 lives in one life. And I'm like,
yes,
I just thought it was awesome.
You know, when you were younger, I kind of gave you the PG story and I left out some details, but the things that I shared with you were things like always talk to me, even when you feel like you've done something wrong, because just like you heard in my story, I felt like I had done something wrong, so I didn't tell anyone. So I wanted her to hear that. I always was asking her about her coaches, you know, if I dropped her off at swim or gymnastics or lacrosse or soccer or you played basketball. I mean, you played every sport, cheerleading. Yeah. I would always, whether they were male or female, I would ask about the coaches and if they were appropriate and did they touch you? I was always next level.
Yeah.
And I never wanted her to sleep over anybody's house because I thought, well, there's a dad in the house and I don't know that dad. There could be a brother. I mean, I was that person. I feel like the first time I let you sleep over someone's house, it was a major. Actually, I don't think you really slept at anyone's house, did you?
I was scared. I don't even know.
And I probably ended up putting some fears in you that maybe had I not gone through my experience, you wouldn't be afraid of.
You were just very protective.
I was very protective.
But it's a good thing.
It ended up being a good thing.
Yeah, it's fine.
And through that protection, I feel like you were such a good daughter. You were always like me, she's a pleaser.
We're very open with each other too. Like I'll tell you everything.
Like, so talk about our relationship.
We're very open with each other. I tell her everything. I told her in high school, like, I like this boy. Oh, this boy was my first kiss.
Yes.
Just everything. A lot of my friends are like, you tell your mom that? And I'm like, yeah, it's a little weird, but it's just how it is. We're very open with each other. It's just how it's been always. Even my brothers are just as open. And we'll all sit in a little circle and we'll be like, you did that? Oh my gosh, well, I did this. So yeah, we're all just very open with each other.
It's true. I think even with the boys, they'd come home at the end of the night and you would come home at the end of the night in high school and you knock on the door and in my bedroom door and you'd be like, Mommy, come here. We got to talk. Yeah. And then sometimes Riley would knock on the door and he'd be like, Mommy, come out. We got to talk. Yeah, and it would be 3 in the morning or whatever. It was just, they always knew. You always knew.
He could tell you anything.
You could. And there was no judgment. And I always believed that if they could come to me and tell me anything, even if it was something bad, which they never really honestly did anything bad. You're really good kids. That I would be there for them and that they could come to me and they can trust that I wouldn't freak out. And I knew even if there was something that was like freak out worthy, I would have to really think like, be careful how you respond because you never want to shut down that communication. And I think that was super important to our relationship.
Yeah.
And it just kept an open dialogue. So I really feel like that's how the young part of you, I was protective, but then I started releasing and opening up a bit and kind of chilling out, as Riley would say.
Yeah. She's chill.
And that helped our relationship. Would you say?
I would say. When I went to college, it was a whole new world and you kind of just let me figure it out and do my thing. I never drank in high school at all. We didn't party. Like we were very good kids, which I loved. Like I didn't feel like I missed out on anything, but then you go to college and it's like, oh my gosh, we're at the bar. The first time I went to a bar, it was my first night of college and I was like FaceTiming you. I'm at the bar. Like, and you're probably like, oh my gosh. But yeah, I just feel like I could tell you anything and I would send you pictures in the bar and at frat parties. And then I had to figure out some things and be like, wait, I don't even want to be doing this really. Like this is too much. I need to reel it in a little bit. Yes. And I just think it's because of how you raised me. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I think we raised you in a Christian home. We talked a lot about our faith and our decisions and making decisions based on our faith. And I think even though it was me parenting you and saying, you know, this wouldn't benefit you, you ultimately made the right decision because you were following not just me, but your faith. Would you agree with that?
I agree. I've definitely, while being in college, like strayed a little bit. And then I'm like, wait, I'm not supposed to be doing this. Recently, I've been getting convicted a lot. And we talked about that. And I'm just like, I'm not supposed to be doing this. Why am I like going out? Like, I need a not. But then I'm like, I'm young, blah, blah, blah. So it's just a whole thing. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, faith really is our guide, right? Yeah. Parenting is one thing, but really you go to college. I'm not there.
It's all on your, like now it's just you and God. It's just your thing now.
It is. And I think that's an evolution of our relationship. Like I'm not there micromanaging you and telling you to make good choices every moment. You're making good choices because of your beliefs. And I think even in your purity, I mean, do you want to talk about that? You want to talk about boys? What do you want? You want to talk about purity? You want to talk about how you've navigated that and held on to your beliefs in college?
It's hard in college. High school was a breeze. I didn't even have my first kiss till senior year. I was like scared of kissing. I was the biggest flirt ever, but I was scared of kissing. I also really cared about my reputation. I never wanted to be like the girl that gets around or whatever.
We always talked about that.
Yeah. And then going into college, I was still like that. Like I was scared to do anything. And I've never done the deed.
I've never done the deed. But that's because of your convictions.
Yeah. I don't think
That's breaking news. I can't believe you said that here.
I don't even know. I can't believe I just said that either. But it kind of said it. So then I was like, I mean, yeah.
It shows that you can do that in college and you can stay pure. And they could tell.
It is hard. It's such a hookup culture. And it's hard. So, like, I don't know.
It is a hookup culture. Talk about that. Like, what does that even mean?
I don't even know.
You do.
I always wanted to like have my little kiss on the front porch. Like that was always my dream. Like, my boyfriend's going to drop me off from our date and he's going to kiss me on the front porch and I'm going to run inside. We don't even have that house anymore. But
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, it is just a different, like, people don't date anymore. I've only been on one real date all of college last year. Cause it's just not like, we go on date parties and stuff, but it is just a different, and I feed into it. Like, I love the chase. Like, it's me too. You know, I love the chase because you're like, this guy is perfect. And I'm like, I know, but I just like guys that don't like me.
About these great guys. And I'm like, well, why don't you guys go to dinner? And she's like, first of all, we don't do that. And I'm like, well, do you like talk on the phone?
I got asked on a date.
You did?
Like 2 weeks ago. But I
said you should go.
I didn't go. But it's me too. It's not just like it's my fault too. I get nervous for that kind of stuff. But
well, you'll be ready when you're ready. I think when you meet the right person, that's what we've always talked about.
We're really getting into this.
Yes, when you meet the right person, you'll want to go on the date. Yeah. And you'll want to spend time with them. Yeah. And this hookup culture, we talk a lot about that because I'm like, I'll see her like this whole like Snapchat. And I'm like, what is that? I'm like, the guy needs to call you.
Weird. It's
he needs
weird.
to ask you on a proper date.
But I'm the same. I'm just as bad with it. I'm like,
it's a weird culture though, right?
Is weird.
Like, how do you even date in this culture?
It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah. So
to find the one.
It's hard to find the one, and then it's also hard to date in college. It's
hard for me to like someone too. Like, it's a lot of it's me. It's not just like these guys. Like, it's really hard for me to like somebody. I feel like in high school I liked like 10 people at a time, and now I'm like,
but even in high school you would like them, but you would never like go all in.
Yeah, I was scared.
It could be a pattern. It could be a pattern. It could be me also constantly being like, is he the right person? I was so like, so we just gotta relax. And
it'll come to me.
It'll come when it's time. It definitely will.
I'm a firm believer. I'm like, it'll come to me. Whatever.
It will. Well, let's talk about you go to Ole Miss. You chose the University of Mississippi because why?
My dad went to Ole Miss, so we kind of always just grew up going to the games, and I always thought it was so cute. So I always knew. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to Ole Miss. Like, it was just a thing. I had all the sweatshirts. And then senior year came, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to Ole Miss. And then I was like, wait, no, I'm not. I'm not going 5 hours away. I was so scared because my high school was so small, and I had the best group of girlfriends, and they were all most of them were staying in state. And I was like, wait, I want to be with you guys. A lot of them were going to the same school. And I was freaking out, and I was like, I'm not going to Ole Miss. And I like started applying and like marched to these Georgia schools, but I always knew I was going to Ole Miss. Anyway, I made the jump and I went to Ole Miss, and it was the best decision ever.
Yes,
I have friends from everywhere, Texas, Chicago. Like, it's awesome. So
it really has
California,
been a great move for you. You were very courageous and independent because that was a big step for you to leave everything you knew.
Not very independent.
Roswell. Well, actually, that was a big move of independence.
Yeah, it was a big move for me.
I was really proud of you.
Freaking out.
So you get to Ole Miss, you become a DG.
Yeah.
Would you say, I had never gone to college. I didn't do the sorority thing. We didn't know what that even looked like.
We really had no clue. I went into it. So if you're going into school and you have no clue, it's okay. It's okay. You'll find your place. Everybody says that, but you really will. Yeah, you'll find your people. Luckily, I had Heather McMahon as my little guide, and she found my people for me. So, but I
tell
love
us about
DG
that.
Too.
What does that mean?
So when you rush, it's good to have connections, and we just happened to have Heather as a connection.
He was a good friend of ours.
Yeah,
and she was a DG, and she went to Ole Miss, and she's all about Ole Miss, and we were like, hey, Heather, can we have lunch? Because we don't know what it looks like to rush. I have no way to help her.
I really had no clue.
So Heather came in and basically threatened to burn down the DG house if she wasn't.
So I was with DG.
I think it worked.
was a great rush experience.
Yeah, so she's a DG now, freshman year. Let's talk about the freshman 15.
Yep.
Is it a real thing?
It's real. And I thought it was fake, and it's real.
Like, how does it happen?
It happens
what does that mean?
Overnight. It happens so quick. You're going out. You're just trying to meet as many people as you can. I mean, you come home late, and then you're starving, and you're living in the dorms, and you go down and you get the Hot Pockets at 1 a.m. and you order McDonald's off DoorDash. It's just a whole thing. It's real.
And before you know it,
awful. Before you know it, you come home and it's like, ooh.
Remember that day you came home?
I came home one day. First of all, me and my roommate Bridget were coming home from winter break or something, and I don't even know. This is a funny story. And we told our moms, we're like, we're going to be home a little bit late. We're going to get a pig.
They were supposed to be home before it was dark because I didn't like her driving on the roads late at night. And then she calls and says,
we're on the way to get a pig.
A pig.
So
there's a detour.
This was the whole thing.
I'm like, what? So then
we wanted a teacup pig, and we were on the way. We were like en route, like we were on the
direction.
way. We thought it was a little baby teacup pig. It was a hog. I don't even know what it was. So we turned around. I got yelled at when I got home, and then they were looking at me like I was crazy. I had like mascara from the night before.
It was
the
rough.
freshman 15
it
happened.
Was not a good
they
look.
were just like, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't know.
But that was a moment.
That was a moment, and I was like, I can't look like this.
That was a moment because it wasn't like you came home and I was like, oh, you don't look pretty.
Yeah,
I would never do that. But what happened is she walked in the door. First of all, I was angry because she was driving really late at night. She didn't get home till midnight, and that was like not okay for a pig. That's another story. But then... so I was upset, but when she walked in, she looked exhausted and she had dark circles under her eyes. And my beautiful, smart, amazing daughter that I sent to school came home for the first time, not looking like my beautiful, smart, amazing daughter. And I told her that. And I think sometimes they need to hear the hard truth. And I'm like, this is not benefiting you. Late nights, drinking, being in bars, this isn't a good look for you. And I think that kind of was...
It clicked for sure.
It clicked.
I was like, yeah.
Again, everything is beneficial. Not everything is everything is... There's a verse. Okay. I can't think of what it is. But it's not all beneficial for you. And that was... Everything is permissible.
You have to just
not everything is
out.
beneficial.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Freshman year, you're literally like, it's your first time all on your own and you're just figuring it out. And it just happens. It happens to the best of us. Everybody goes through a little rough patch freshman year.
So how did you make the change? Because you obviously, people have noticed because they've watched you grow from 12 to 15 to 18 to you watched me drop her off at college. You watched us decorate her dorm. It was all over TikTok and Instagram. You watched us kind of... You've watched everything, but you watched her on a wellness journey. And a lot of you have said, wow, I've noticed Jaclyn looks different. Jaclyn looks so healthy. Is Jaclyn on the wellness journey? And in fact, she has been on quite a wellness journey. Why don't you talk about from transitioning from freshman year where kind of it was just wild and you're just trying to figure it out to now what your life looks like at school?
Yeah, well, I always played sports in high school. So I was like, I didn't even have to worry about it really. And then I went off to school freshman 15 and I came home and my mom's like ripped. And I was like, what is happening? And I was like, you look so much better than me. So then not even like in that way, but I was like, I want to do this. Like, I want to go walk. And we just started walking and talking. And then I got on the Peloton and I was like, oh, this is good. And I just kept going. And I love it now. I just think it's fun. I love working out.
Yes.
I like eating healthy. It's just fun now. I still like eat bad. Like we got Sonic for a long time. Me and my roommates for like a month. We would go to Sonic every night without fail.
Which is okay, but you balance it with working out. And that's the beautiful thing about your wellness journey. Unfortunately, a lot of young girls, they get into college and then it's the comparison trap. And then some of them stop eating and then they're eating like very small. And we've always been very careful in our language that, I do want to watch calories, but I don't want to create an eating disorder, right? And we want to look at food in a healthy way. She watched me before eating pizza and drinking Cokes, and now she's watching me eating salads and protein. And I think it was just a complete lifestyle change that she observed. And when she was younger, she was adopting my bad habits. And then as she grew up and I grew up, she started adopting my good habits. So I think changing your habits like I did.
Yeah, I watched you.
Yes, it's amazing the power that moms have in their own journey, right? Mm-hmm. And the influence they can be in their daughters and in their sons, even our sons as well, our kids.
For sure.
So what is what do you think the best thing you've done in your wellness journey? If there's one thing that you'd say is something that a girl can do or take control of.
It all just started with getting steps in. It was just like, we got to get 10,000 steps today.
Yeah, you would watch me with the steps. And then you were like, I need to do my steps.
I would say just start walking. I don't know. It's fun. Like, it really becomes just, it's like, let's wake up. Let's go to the gym. Like, that's what we did today. And we were like, let's get up. Let's go to the gym. Then we came home, made breakfast.
And we made healthy meals together. And just it's fun.
We have fun with it.
Yes. Awesome. You got to make it fun. And you have to just make it part of your life.
Yeah.
And a cute set always helps.
Cute set.
She loves a cute set.
Always.
Yes. Okay, so now you're striving, you're thriving in college. Your grades are excellent, by the way. You really, I mean, freshman year, they're trying to figure it out. I remember she called me and she was calling me from the library and she was with all of her amazing friends that she's met. And she was in tears.
An intervention.
And her friends were like, you need to pull it together. And really the divorce was impacting you and your grades. And, she went away freshman year, and a lot of you don't really know the timeline, but that's when everything imploded in our family. And I think that was hard for her because she wasn't home. The boys were at home and they had my attention every day. She was at school and I was trying to kind of shield her from a lot of the crazy that was happening. So let's talk about that. That really impacted you.
Yeah.
How did it impact you?
The divorce.
Yes. I mean, a big question here we looked at the questions together and I said you didn't have to talk about it if you didn't feel comfortable, but you said you wanted to. How are you doing post-divorce?
Post-divorce, I'm doing great. I feel, I say this all the time. I'm like, I'm fine. Like, I feel fine. I really do. This is such a fun season in life. Like, I love school. I love my friends. Everything's awesome. It's definitely weird because I don't have a relationship really with my dad at all. So that's the weird part. I also think it's weird being 20 and it happening versus being like 5 and it happening. Both are hard, but like my whole life, it was like, oh, we're all together. Like, we're going to walk down the aisle. Like, everyone's going to be close with my family, like my boyfriend and my dad, blah, blah, blah. And that's just not how it is, at least for right now. So it's definitely weird because it was all together and then it's just not now. And I literally, Christmas break, I had like one last conversation. I was like, when I come back home from school for summer, like, am I going to be in this house? Like, what's going to be happening? And I came back and the divorce was final and we weren't in the house. It's just weird. It was a whole like boom and it was over. So that was weird.
Yes. And I think if you're navigating divorce while your daughter's in college, I remember when there was always issues in the marriage. Well-intended, I tried to shield her from a lot of the issues, but they would also see it. I mean, unfortunately, we did fight in front of them. It happened. Worse. It was explosive at times. Yeah. It was uncomfortable. It was always just, there was a strain it got worse over the past few years. And they saw it. There were vacations where they were like, every vacation, there was just like an issue and they were just, I remember our last family vacation, one of my kids came to me and was like, can you just please end this? We can't deal with it anymore. And, but nobody wants a divorce. And so I kind of just was like, I'll just deal with it. And that will just be my lot in life. This is, I'm going to deal with it because I don't want to bring them through this. And I think trying to smile and look pretty and going through the motions of like, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Everybody has problems. They never really anticipated it. Until there was just really no other option to the point of...
We had a breaking point.
We did have a breaking point. What was the breaking point for you?
The beach trip.
Because I remember...
Christmas, it all went down.
It went
Rosemary. Down at the Rosemary Cottage.
The perfect place.
The perfect place. Yeah, it went down.
Picture perfect once again.
My freshman year of college for a timeline. Yeah.
Yes.
Went down.
Yes. Over something. And that was the thing. The thing that imploded it was really not even something we should even talk about because it was irrelevant. But it was all the baggage that was there. And then just a little thing just became a big thing. And he left the cottage. And I remember the breaking point for me actually involved you.
Actually, my breaking point.
Go ahead.
My personal breaking point. He left the cottage and I was yelling his name down the streets of Rosemary. I'm like, Dad. And he didn't turn around. And I know he heard me. And I was like, I'm done.
Then it was Christmas. And that's when I was done.
You're supposed to go to New Orleans for the Ole Miss Bowl game. And I'm like, great, now my plans are canceled. And that was my breaking point. I was like, I'm done.
And it felt like it was out of nowhere because we had the pretty Christmas tree up.
And I'm also at school. So I come home for Christmas and I'm like, everything's normal. But it wasn't.
Right.
I learned that break that it wasn't normal.
Right.
I was like, oh, you guys are fighting? Like, I didn't even know.
Yes.
So that's why it was weird. But
yes. Yeah. And it was probably very difficult because even in that moment, for my breaking point was that day with you walking outside early in the morning.
Yeah, it was like 7 a.m. I got woken up to it.
Kind of chasing him, and he's dragging the suitcase, and you're like, Dad. And I'm like, I'm done. He can hurt me, but he's not going to hurt you.
Yeah.
So I called the attorney that day. I don't know if you know that. I had been meeting with an attorney, but I was just meeting with an attorney to kind of cover my tracks because I thought he was going to divorce me and I was going to be in a vulnerable position. And I just decided that I can't live like this, and they certainly cannot. And this is not protecting my kids, because as a parent, you don't do divorce because you're protecting your kids. For years, I wanted a divorce, but I'm like, I'm not going to do this to them. I will suck it up. That was a turning point, and I was in therapy being advised that this is not healthy, and that was really my breaking point as well. We went home, and really you haven't talked to him.
Yeah, we don't really talk.
On a couple occasions since then. All of us, really. Which I don't think any of us, I think healthy people that go through divorces.
Which is weird because we were so close. Like, our family was very close. Me and my dad were close, like just as close as any, like we were really close. He was close with all my friends. We were always like, the whole family was always together. We were like, everybody thought we were like perfect.
Perfect.
So it's weird because it's not like we weren't close and like, you know, like I was just as close with him as I was with you. Pretty much. I mean, different bonds, but pretty much. And so, yeah, it's just weird. Like, I still think about it. I'm like, wait, this is so weird. Like, I hadn't seen him in 2 years and then I saw him in Oxford. He happened to be in Oxford, and I was like, well, I'd like to see you. So I met him on the square, and it was a 2-hour screaming match.
Because you had questions.
In the middle of the square. Yeah, just because I had questions still. Nothing had been answered really for me. And I'm like, you're not in my life at all. I'm just so confused. And I'm like, I need this from you. I need this from you. I don't feel supported. So it was a whole thing. But yeah.
You know, it's hard for young adults. Like you said, it was hard for you because you were used to this picture of a family. And then all of a sudden it's not. Even though there were issues, I think you probably would have agreed with me that you would have just dealt with it just so that we didn't have to go through all this. I think the biggest thing, what am I trying to say here? For parents to realize, if there's a nugget here, if you go through the divorce, and I believe that you should, if it gets to a point where it's just not healthy, and that's what our point was, and I'll have a whole episode on my divorce. But you don't divorce your children. And so I think the problem we had to deal with a family divorce with parents separating, and that's okay. That doesn't work sometimes, but the parent and child separating, it's like a whole nother thing to unbox. I haven't been able to really help them with that because I don't really have answers for that. It has been a burden for me because I don't have the answers for you, and I want to fix it, and I'm not capable to fix it because it has to be resolved between you two. But I do encourage it, for the record, that they do have a healthy relationship.
She always encourages.
And I do encourage that she needs her father. And I pray and I hope that there is a day that that can happen, because I think it's important. And I know with my challenges with my parents, as much as there was conflict and issues and forgiveness that needed to happen, it was healthy to make that happen. Yeah. So I know that one day.
Maybe one day,
or you learn how to just navigate it, not getting exactly what you want, but you can navigate it in a healthy way.
Yeah.
So now we get through the divorce, and one thing we talk a lot about, and when we have our conversations, which are often, is like, we didn't think it was going to look like this. And, we didn't think that going back to college and parents' weekend that I'd be going back alone. Yeah. And we didn't think when she'd come home that she'd be coming to a townhouse and not her family home. How have you handled that?
It's just weird. Like, I don't even know what other words to say than it's weird.
Yes.
There's really nothing I can say. I don't understand why we don't have a relationship, me and my dad. Like, I don't get it. I mean, we definitely have problems, but I'm like, you can fix them. so easily for me. Like, I'm not asking for a lot. So that's why. But it's definitely weird. I loved our old house and I never got to say goodbye. But
I think that is hard. I think you do need closure for that.
yeah.
And we've
it's just
talked about
weird,
that.
But we're good, you know?
Yes. Yes.
It's
We are
definitely weird.
good. But it's weird.
Yeah.
And you have
weird.
questions.
Yeah,
and
I have questions.
I think the only way you get closure is to get answers. And, you know, we left the family home because that's really what needed to happen. But to me, I was dealing with it knowing in the beginning that I was going to have to give that home up. And I was dealing with it. For her, it was a surprise because she was like, wait, what? Why are we moving?
Yeah.
So I think that's just something you're going to have to work through. It was,
I mean, there's so much behind everything.
there's so much behind everything. But personally, I think it was good to get a fresh start.
Yeah.
There was a lot of pain in that home. I know there was a lot of
Yeah.
good memories too. And that's what's hard for you.
Yeah.
So.
We don't need it. We're all
Yes,
good.
we're all good.
Everything's good.
So
We're good.
now we're post-divorce. Things look different. We didn't think it was going to look like this. But it is. And now we're finding our new normal.
Yeah.
And now your mom is dating.
Now she's dating.
And is that
she
weird?
has a boyfriend and I
That is
don't.
a big
I'm like,
question that a
what's
lot of
going
people
on?
ask. How are you doing with that?
I think it's awesome that she's dating. She's thriving. She's having so much fun. She's in love. Douglas treats her awesome. I'm like, I wish I was the one with a boyfriend, or I could maybe at least I wish I had a
Took me
boyfriend.
49 years to
we
find.
could bond. That's what freaks me out. I'm like, I better find him quick, but
Yes.
I think it's awesome. So happy for
Is
you.
it odd for you? I mean, it's got to be different. It's not your father, and your mom's dating. It's like I'm going on a date.
It's
and
different, but
It's a new normal.
yeah.
I'm traveling now. Is that weird? How's that been for you?
She's traveling.
Oh,
she's
she's traveling.
going all around the world. 1 week she's in Paris. 1 week I don't even know.
Yes.
But no, you deserve it.
And you're
having fun.
adjusting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, and how do you how do you feel about Douglas?
He's awesome.
Okay.
He's
good
great.
to know.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question. So I'm going to look at my notes because you all had a lot of great questions. Do you want to talk while I'm looking? I'm going to pull up all of the
What do you guys want me to talk about? We were looking through all these questions earlier.
There were
a
many.
lot of questions.
the most that we've ever had.
They were good too.
We
You guys
talked about
wanna know
our
them all.
relationship, mother and daughter. What do you think the one bond is that we have that you think is different than any bond you have with anyone? That was a question. Is there one thing that stands out about you and I?
We just tell each other everything. We're very open with each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're very open.
What health tips do you have for a college girl?
Don't have DoorDash on your phone.
Yes.
I
That's
would
a
just
good one.
honestly say just try to walk to all your classes and just walk as much as you can. And if you live in a house, make most of your own food. I try to make breakfast because I'm like, I know I can make breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
We never really know what we're doing that night. And my roommates like have fun with it too. We all like to work out, so it's something we all kind of do together. So
Yes.
you can encourage your roommates, or maybe your roommates will encourage you, and you guys can make it like fun.
Yes.
So there's a tip.
What is your career goal?
So I'm studying marketing and communications. Wait, also people think I'm like not in school anymore. I'm still in school. Ole Miss just had a snow delay. So
And Ole Miss goes back late.
We go back late and then we got a snow delay. So I'm still in school
in
because
school.
there's been a lot of questions. I'm studying marketing and communications. My career goals are to graduate and then kind of go off on my own, move somewhere. I'm not sure where yet. Do something in marketing or do something in apparel, and then come back and make an empire. Honestly,
Yes.
I don't really know how we go about that, but I'd love to have a store in Rosemary or 30A somewhere and run it and kind of make it my own. And then
Yes.
she has the stores in Roswell, and then we make another store and another, and we do, I don't even know.
We
We
build
travel and do stuff. I don't know.
Yes. You talked to me about wanting to have your own type of store, like a offspring
I kind
of
of want
Linen
like
and Flax.
like
what
a
does
little
that
offspring.
look like?
Looks a little bit younger, kind of the same, like neutral, just fun. just younger looking, some more athleisure. Kind of the same, just a little bit of a younger vibe to it, I guess.
Yes.
Just a little babe, a younger Linden Flax.
I think it would actually be fantastic.
Yeah.
I think people would really love it.
And then when I have a baby, we have a whole baby store. Like, I don't know.
Well, we have baby now.
I know, but we could have a whole
but we
store.
could have a whole store. I mean, there's lots of possibilities.
Yeah,
I think
we want to do a lot.
We like to dream and scheme. And I do think that as you go out into the world and you learn more, you can bring it to Linden and Flax to make us better. You've inspired me. We've done rush collections. We've done college, back to school. We brought in younger looks for your target audience. And it's interesting because a lot of her friends follow us. It's amazing.
And a lot of people ask me where something's from. And I'm like, Linden and Flax.
Yeah. So she's always kind of plugging. I do think that she may kind of ease into the influencing game because anytime she's on, you guys ask what she's wearing. And I think that that's a natural progression for you. And it kind of... it will be something you'll do with Linden and Flax if you decide to go on that path. Yeah. You might even be your own entrepreneur. Maybe. Like you might just create your own path. Yeah. So many questions here. Let's talk about your favorite tip for makeup. What do you? What's your
good skincare?
Good skincare. Talk about good skincare because a lot of girls your age don't really think about it, but it's super important.
Well, the Revisions line is great. I use hers whenever I'm home, but I really just use like the Cetaphil face wash. I don't really have anything crazy. Makeup by Mario. I really like their makeup. I like the Laneige lip mask. Yeah.
That's good. So good skincare. You always wash your face at the end of the night. That's something
try to. Yeah.
That you and I talked about a lot when you were younger. We're like, wash your face. It kind of is part of my nighttime routine. She watched it. Honestly, if you hear anything, I think the habits that you kind of instill in your kids, the things that you do yourself, they're always watching. And so I always would wash my face at night. She'd come in and talk while I washed my face. She started doing it with me at my vanity. You know, really a lot of our wellness, when I was eating bad, she was eating bad. When I was eating healthy, she started eating healthy. So you are a huge influence, Mom, and they're watching, especially your daughter. What do you love the most about your mom?
I love how you're so motivated. You keep me motivated. You're such a go-getter. I'll be at school and I usually get up around like 8 or 7 if I have an 8 a.m. I get up pretty early and I'm like, okay, I'm up. And then I go on Instagram and she's been up for 4 hours on the treadmill and I'm like, okay, I'm up. Like I gotta get up. I gotta go to the gym. She motivates me a lot. She's always there for me. Yeah. You support me in everything I want to do.
Yes, I do. Everything. I believe in you and I know you can do great things and you will do great things. Okay. So many things. I want to wrap up on a really great question. Is there anything I've missed, Jaclyn, that you would like to talk about?
I don't know. I don't think so.
If there's one thing you need, here's an Ole Miss mom. There's so many questions. What is the one thing that you feel like at this age, you're 20 years old, you're going to be 21 next week.
21.
Amazing. I can't believe you're going to be 21.
I know.
I'm so proud of you. You're so mature and you're doing such a great job in school and you've really navigated divorce and family. You're kind of the glue. We were going around the table at dinner the other night and the boys and I were all saying that you are like the glue and you're the one that's always about family. And like when you're home, you're like, guys, let's have family dinners.
I make it all happen.
You really love and cherish family.
Yeah.
So tell me, what is the one thing you need? And that other... you can say to moms that their daughter at 20 years old, 21 young adults, what do they need from their moms?
I just like to know you're there and I can call you and I can tell you whatever and you'll answer me and that's really it. I just like to know you're there.
Yes, that's support.
Yeah, and I like when she calls me first. Sometimes I have to call her first because I'm like, hello.
I apologize for that. No, sometimes it's just the day gets away from me, but you're always on my mind.
I know,
but I will do better. Well, I love you, and I'm really proud of you, and thank you for kind of sharing hard things. Like you've been doing hard things too, you know.
Thanks.
And you've been doing them beautifully, and you're inspiring me, and you're inspiring girls that are watching, and you're inspiring your roommates. I know they're so great. Your roommates,
the best roommates.
Any parting words to shut it down?
I think we covered it. I don't know. I think we're good.
I think we're good. Well, thank you for being with me on the couch, chatting with Mom and chatting with Chaz. Until next time, make sure you're following along on YouTube and subscribe. Hit this subscribe button. Make sure you're following Chatting with Chaz on Instagram and Linen and Flax Co. for updates and future podcasts that are to come. We have so much good coming ahead. This was an awesome episode and I really enjoyed it. I hope to have the boys as well, but we have so many special guests coming and more stories from me. Keep following along. We loved having you here and chatting with Chaz, and we'll talk to you soon. Talk to you next week. Episode drops Wednesday at 12 midnight.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in.